Morning, folks. Anything happening today? Oh, I think there is. It is Europa League Final day indeed. What seemed like an impossible dream is just a step away. I may have stolen that from Rangers video today. I'm not sure. It's possible. It's likely. Guys, you're out in Seville. I'm stuck here in Glasgow. To be fair, it's sunny Glasgow. It was, of course, dank, dreich, and all the rest of it yesterday, but there is a little bit of sun peeking through the clouds here. You can say the same in Seville, to say the least. You guys are looking resplendent there. Josh, you've got a slight tan. Derek, you're slightly red. How are you getting on?
I posted a picture yesterday, Johnny, of my red face. I had to pose for a picture from a pass that I picked up, and I never looked at it until I got out, and I went, woof. I've caught the sun just a tad. Not as much as one guy I've seen at the fan zone who was almost like wearing an Aberdeen strip. He was head to toe, completely red.
I saw that. I saw a picture of that guy, mate. I've got to say, he looked like he was one step away from a trip to the hospital with sunstroke.
Yeah, it was not fun. So hopefully he's feeling okay this morning. But yeah, it's been cracking so far. Another glorious day. We're on the rooftop, of course, folks. Just looking out. Not a cloud in the sky. I seen your video yesterday, Johnny, as well. That torrential rainfall outside your house. Wow, what a contrast it is to what we're experiencing here.
Yeah, indeed. And Joshua, you're giving me the vibes of a guy who is planning on becoming a Barcelona, or Real Madrid, or even a Sevilla correspondent, because you seem to be very at home out there in La España.
Well, Derek will tell you how many times I've been saying, why do we not live here? Many. Probably about 3 times a day. So, no, I've been absolutely loving it.
Somebody spoke to you in Spanish, thought you were Spanish as well.
It's happened more than once, Derek. It's happened more than once, yeah. So,
those swarthy good looks. I mean, I've got to be honest, as your editor, I would rather you didn't live there, because you're definitely dipping in terms of productivity. There's no doubt about that. Have to say, Derek, you're fine. You could live. Joshua, I'm not so sure about.
Needing cooler climates. No, but it's been fantastic, and just looking forward to the game. As you say, Johnny, I was speaking to a Polish journalist this morning, and he was saying, when did the Rangers supporters and people involved with the club, when do you think they actually believed they were going to make the final? And I said, probably when John Lundstrom scored in the semi-final to make it 3-1, because up until then it was so... It's unbelievable that Rangers are here. It's absolutely unbelievable. So,
well, if they've been watching this video, I was telling them they were going to make the final since before the Leipzig game.
Yeah.
And win it.
Realistic, but in terms of, the actual realistic being in a final, it is mental. It is mental. Aside from all your talented foresight. So, just hope it lives up to expectation, the final today, and we're having positive conversations about it after the game.
It's your first final, Joshua. How are you feeling?
First final. Yeah.
First European final.
First European final, yeah. Well, my memory of I was actually saying this to my mum, my mum is not a football lover, or not a football hater, but not accustomed in the game.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her when I was home last, do you remember me sitting here in the living room crying when Arshavin scored? And she said no. But for me, it's a distinctive memory. So, yeah, as we've said before, I certainly didn't think I'd be here again. Probably in my lifetime.
didn't score in that game, so that's
Dennis.
But did he not?
Yeah. But he was a man of the match.
The second goal. Did Arshavin assist the second goal?
He was
what was it? The bit where the commentator goes, the Russian knife is cut through or something like that. There's some very distinctive
comment. It was his ball, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that moment, I remember that. But yeah, just really looking forward to it. Going to get in nice and early, soak up the atmosphere, and yeah, hopefully it's one to remember, Derek.
Yeah, hopefully, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, guys, pile in the questions. Any questions at all, just hit us up. We know we feel like we've been on air live for hours now. So if we're running out of patter, it's
big thanks, by the way, Johnny, to David Edgar for stepping into the guest chair last night for our Europa League special. Another cracking show last night. I thought it was great to have on. So yeah, thanks to everyone who watched that show, and you can watch it back, of course, on our YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook accounts as well. So I thought it was a great show last night.
Yeah, it was. Thanks to Davey Edgar for that. And of course, you can subscribe to Heart and Hand, his podcast, via patreon.com, Heart and Hand. Right, okay. Some of the comments that are coming in. What was the reaction of the locals with the Rangers fans continually arriving in huge numbers, guys? The locals must be a little bit wild-eyed at this, what's going on, this takeover of the city. And it's only really just begun. It's today that you're really going to see it.
So far, so good, Johnny. The people I've met are really excited and they're welcoming. They're asking us if we're Glasgow or Frankfurt. The Uber driver we got in last night was good, wasn't it? The lady was giving us a tour of the city. Yeah, the buildings. I can't remember much of it, to be honest, but she was really welcoming and talking about the game and what colours Rangers
men over there.
What's that? Sorry.
Two Renaissance men enjoying the architecture, the fine food. I said to these boys, send me some photos. I'm a big foodie, as you can probably tell, being a bit of a fat bam. I love my food. And I said to these boys, well, you're out there. It's supposed to be a culinary capital of the world. You know, it's supposed to be really terrific food, Michelin star restaurants in every corner. Please send me some pics of what you're eating so I can live vicariously through you. And Derek on the first night sent me a picture of these lovely looking salty prawns. I thought, this is terrific. He gets the content that I'm looking for. And then there's been nothing since. I sent him a tweet saying, come on, Derek, get your act together. He sends me a picture of monkey nuts and eating olives. I mean, what's going on?
My form level has dipped somewhat, Johnny. I'll make sure I upped my game today.
We had a nice steak.
We had a nice steak. Although you wouldn't have wanted to seen the photograph last night of the fast food outlet that Joshua frequented on his way back to the apartment. I don't think you would have appreciated a photo of that.
The Golden Arches.
No.
Well, I was looking for some quintessential Spanish food when I was trotting back after seeing my cousin.
A kebab is what you said, I think.
Kebab. I couldn't find one, so I sent Derek a photo of the Golden Arches in the distance, and I just thought, when in Rome.
Yeah, but we'll make sure we up our game today, Johnny. We'll frequent some lovely eateries and make sure we send the photographs back. But tell you what, those prawns on night one were absolutely sensational. I like to eat what the locals eat when in Rome, as they say, when you're over here. So yeah, the food so far has been top notch.
When in Rome, when you're in Spain. Right, listen, we've got one to get our teeth into here. I think this is a really good one for us to get our teeth into. The final says, if we do this, it will be the biggest achievement in Scottish football by far. So, here's the big question. Would a win in this trophy, given the polarisation between rich and poor in European football that now exists, that has really come about over the last 20 years, Rangers were already kind of feeling it in 2008, and it did feel like an end of an era of Scottish performance in Europe at that point. Does that supersede the fact that Celtic won the big one? Of course, they've not won the Champions League. They won the European Cup. It was a different competition. It was only 4 rounds to get to the final in those days. But there is no denying, even though this is a Rangers video, that was a great achievement, being the first European Cup winning team from the UK ahead of big clubs like Manchester United and people like that. But I think there is a solid argument, and we're seeing more and more people make it now, Derek, that despite the historical context of that and the cultural context of that, football context of this is bigger. What do you think?
Without a shadow of a doubt, Johnny, and
you're not messing about, mate. You're right in there, 2 feet. Goodbye your mentions.
Not to dismiss Celtic's achievement. I mean, the European Cup, of course, is a pinnacle, but the football landscape has changed so much since then. I mean, they played 4 matches, didn't they? And the quality of opposition, I mean, back then, Dundee were getting to the semi-finals of the European Cup. I remember they get put out by AC Milan around about the same time. So it was more of a level playing field back then. I know that
Rangers were also in a final that year.
Yeah, 1967, they lost to Bayern Munich, I think, 1-0. So the Scottish teams were making the latter stages of the European competitions, and not just the Old Firm, the likes of Dunfermline, Dundee, as I mentioned. So Hibs, I think, as well, done pretty well back then. So it's a different kettle of fish now. It blows it out the water. If Rangers can lift that trophy tonight, Johnny, it is the greatest achievement by a Scottish club ever since the game began in Scotland, since the organised game. So These players,
Aberdeen fans watching this right now.
There's no doubt. You're right. Derek is right in with this opinion, Johnny, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
no half measures.
For me, the Aberdeen achievement,
that was a big one.
Celtics winning the European Cup. That to beat Real Madrid, Real Madrid haven't been beaten in a European final since that match against Aberdeen. So it shows you how big an achievement that was. But again, Real Madrid aren't the Real Madrid of today. But still, it was a monumental achievement from Aberdeen. For me, that is the greatest achievement from a Scottish club. But this would top anything if Rangers were to lift the trophy. So much so, Johnny, I think that we're talking about statues and all that of James Tavernier if Rangers lift this trophy. That's what I think we're talking about here.
Yeah, Curry Muncher's telling me off saying, Johnny, it was 55 years ago. It was more of a level playing field. I absolutely agree, Curry Muncher. I'm just playing devil's advocate to try and get this going. But obviously, there'll be many, many people with different opinions on that one. It's and of course, Rangers are still to do it. We've got to hope they go out there, and then the next 2 weeks is going to be, discussions about what the greatest achievement is. But Joshua, I mean, one thing about this is a big aspect of Glasgow football culture is the Schadenfreude, is the sort of the rivals getting one over on each other. Does this sort of, if Rangers were to win this, does this sort of give eternal bragging rights, at least for a few years? I mean, it's just so gigantic that, for example, Celtic fans that say, we won the double this year. I mean, Rangers fans are just entitled to say, and?
Yeah,
I mean that's the situation that we're at. It's kind of puncture. If they win it, it punctures the Glasgow banter as we know it between these two sides.
Yeah, and obviously it's an if, you're right, and it's probably more of a conversation to be had after the game, because Frankfurt will probably be having this similar discussion on their respective podcasts this morning. So of course, I don't think it will sink in the reality, not only the reality of the achievement, but to get through the 8 games to get to this stage. The financial disparity. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on football in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and apart from what people have said here in other places, I don't know how this would rank. I don't know what the disparity. Obviously, the financial disparity would have been lesser, but how this ranks in achievement, I think certainly when you look at again the amount of money that Leipzig have spent, Leipzig who beat Man City earlier in the year, the disparity between the top 5 leagues now in the Scottish League, the fact that Rangers, I mean, I was speaking to some journalists from Eastern Europe today, and I was saying Steven Gerrard's first 3 seasons, they had to go through all 4 qualifying rounds. That's remarkable. I think they were the first team to ever do that 3 years in a row or 2 years in a row. So Rangers haven't had anything handed to them whatsoever. They've kind of rebuilt Scotland's coefficient on themselves. And the thing is with Europe, because there's been success and relative success getting to the latter stages, even in the first season, just results in Europe was a success, but there's never been the end goal to say, yes, maybe this group of players have underachieved in terms of domestic cups or whatever, but they've won a European Cup, because they've not done that. If they were to go and do it tonight, I think it would what it would do to the conversation, Johnny, is that I think it would kind of render everything else ineffective, because this is such a high level of European competition. Manchester United were in the final last season, Chelsea and Arsenal a couple of seasons ago. This isn't some also-rans in European competition. So definitely a conversation to have after. Hopefully we are having it, because I think it's going to be a really tight game, and really intrigued to see how it plays out.
A lot of people asking about the heat, guys, and this is an important one, because it's been clear from the beanbacks that you guys have been giving us just how warm it is out there. So what's your thought? I'll go to you, Derek, first, on what it's going to be like around about 9 o'clock your time, 8 o'clock our time, based on what you've already seen. I think the actual predicted temperature is going to be around 31, 32 from what I've been reading. So how does that translate on the field? It's going to be the same for both teams. And Rangers, of course, it's not like it's 11 Scots out there, pasty Scots like yourself, Derek.
Yeah.
There's a lot of foreign players in the team. But there's going to be a big element of rehydration throughout this game. Arguably, and if we're talking about marginal gains, maybe the team that hydrates the best in this game will be the team that lifts the trophy. Sometimes, European finals are decided on tiny, tiny, tiny margins.
Yeah, I think so, John. There was talk yesterday about potential water breaks based on the heat tonight. I think the first night I've mentioned this, it was quite chilly, and there was a slight breeze, and it was a nice temperature for the match. The last 2 nights have been clammy, very sticky, uncomfortable if you're exercising in it. So, but I'm sure Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and the fitness coaches will be well aware of that and how to manage that. As you mentioned, some of the players have played lots of internationals in that team, and they've been away Rangers as well. Remember, at places like Porto, Benfica, Red Star Belgrade, difficult places where the temperature is somewhat uncomfortable. So it's not as if they're stepping into the unknown here. And like you say, it's a level playing field. Frankfurt will have to contend with that as well. So it is what it is. I'm not too sure what it's going to be like tonight. It will be hot, but whether it's clammy and sticky, it remains to be seen. But I've got full trust that the coaching staff at Rangers will know what's to come, and will manage to deal with it appropriately. It's guys like Scott Wright, I think, Johnny, that's going to be doing a lot of running. I imagine he's going to start the game. It's very energy sapping when you're running about in it, so that's the only thing. We could see the whole substitute bench possibly used because of that, because of the heat.
Johnny, can I weigh in with?
I don't want to leave this up and not address it. We've got some Frankfurt fans giving us pelters here. Yannick Busler saying Frankfurt win easy, and then I think we've got one of the best put downs I think that I've seen on the comments. I'm trying to find it now. Curry Muncher saying you are only famous for your sausage. The back and forth that you get on our comments is always a good laugh. So there you go. You are only famous for your sausage. Josh, are you only famous for your sausage?
I can't believe he's asked that this time in the morning.
It's a family show.
Got to retain some element of professionalism. Come on, Johnny.
Carry on.
Listen to this, right? This is a quote I thought would be quite interesting to read out. Derek Gray tweeting this out this morning. Leon Balogun speaking to some radio station in Berlin, saying this: Steven Gerrard was somewhat more emotional. Giovanni is more reflective and gives us a different type of self-confidence. He emboldens us to trust in his plan, but also in our own capabilities. And that's very interesting. And I guess that's a conversation that we've all been having. What's the difference? Who's a better manager? What's the differences? That's pretty high praise from Balogun, is it not? I mean, I don't know what you think about that, Johnny, but when I seen that, and it's on my Twitter, I thought, it's not a criticism of Gerrard whatsoever, but we spoke last night about, is that calm persona that Gio has, his going with his gut feeling, his ability to stay composed and have that self-confidence even when after the 1-0 defeat in Braga, there's a bit of a lull, to then get to the point whereby the players see, okay, this guy's pretty steadfast, pretty trustworthy in his own methods. And when that actually goes and works, I think you have real supporter buy-in. But I was interested to know what you thought about that, Johnny.
Yeah, no, listen, I think in Europe, having that kind of guy that you can go to who has a tactical nous to calmly change a game is invaluable. Now, Walter Smith had that. That was something that, if you talk to any of Walter's players, they all say you'd go in at half-time and he'd tell you exactly how the game was going to go. This will happen here, this will happen here, this will happen here, and this is what we're going to do to counteract it, and this is how we're going to get the win. And Giovanni Van Bronckhorst just cuts that kind of figure for me. You can see it when he's out there at the edge of his touchline, orchestrating things. He's not bombastic like Steven Gerrard could be. He's very, very directive, straightforward, very calm. You don't see him getting involved in altercations with referees. Of course, he remonstrates over decisions, but it's quite tame. And I think that's fair about Steven Gerrard in the sense that Gerrard's first management role was at Rangers. He's coming in and he's learning on the job. And listen, what a job he did. Unbelievable. And he would have gone to Aston Villa a better manager, much better manager than he was when he walked through the door from the things that he learned. But Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has won 5 trophies as a manager already. He was good enough that he was snapped up by the City Group in a role many people were saying was going to be potentially part of a succession plan for Pep Guardiola. He was going to be pushed around the City Group, and that's how highly they rated him. That didn't work out. He ended up in China, and thankfully for Rangers, he's now at Ibrox, because to me, this is a guy that just looks like on a different level tactically in terms of his ability to change games as they happen and having that calm mentality. I suppose that comes from his playing career. I mean, literally leading his team out in a World Cup final doesn't get any bigger than that. If you can do that, you're not going to get too excited about other games as a manager. You're certainly not going to get too excited about Scottish Premiership games or Scottish Cup finals. Obviously, a European final is maybe slightly different, but he's played in one of those as well and won with Barcelona. A very memorable one as well. We all remember that one when they beat Arsenal. So I think that's a huge part of Van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was really interesting when I seen it this morning. And just quickly, while we're on the topic of tactics, we've got a big read on the website today, a big look into Frankfurt, the tactical battles today, where the game's going to be won and lost. And just one stat that I put out yesterday, on my Twitter, Johnny. Frankfurt, only one team has created more counter-attacking shots than Frankfurt per 90 in the knockout stages. Yeah. Only one team has conceded less counter-attacking shots per 90 in the knockout stages than Rangers. Sorry, the first one was Frankfurt, second one was Rangers. Frankfurt very strong going forward in the counter. Yeah. Rangers very strong at preventing the counter-attacks. I think
that's got to give.
Yeah, something's got to give. Going to be really interesting. Frankfurt aren't great at set pieces. Rangers are pretty good at set pieces, albeit Morelos is a player that scored those 2 goals. And Frankfurt, I think, pretty good at orchestrating their high press, but Rangers have went over it quite often in recent games. So if you want to read into the tactics tonight, you can subscribe at the moment. I don't know, is it £3 for 3 months, £6 for 6 months?
Yeah, it's £3 for 3 months at the moment. Josh, can I throw something at you?
Please.
Is there an argument that, given Frankfurt don't have a lot of goals in the team, they're not, if you look at their top scorer, I think the top scorer's got 10, 11 goals. Do you sit back and play possum and say, come at us? Because I think they're almost like Rangers in a way. They're better in transition than they are building up through the thirds and attacking that way.
Yeah, well, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was asked about this yesterday, Johnny, and we touched on it briefly last night, but effectively said something really interesting. He said, you won't see the game plan away in Leipzig when it was all about containment and trying to hit. He said it'll be closer to the home game, which is very aggressive, man for man at the back, sit really high at the pitch with a high defensive line, and he spoke about finding that balance without the Ibrox crowd. For me, again, I was speaking to someone about this at the club, and it's a one-off game. You've got to win this game. And although you can say, Rangers have lost said amount of games in the group stages, when you think of that Braga 1-0 game, Rangers knew they had Ibrox to go back. They weren't chucking everything at getting an equaliser. And there's all these things to consider, I think, when you look at their away performances, particularly when, their away performance against Red Star, you're protecting a 3-goal lead. It's very different. Leipzig, you've got the home game to come back to. You want to keep it to a low score. Braga, you've got the home game to come back to, and justifiably, based on the number of chances Rangers create, they're really confident. So we know Van Bronckhorst will likely change things in game. I think even when Rangers open up, because Barisic is, as we've said numerous times, he's arriving in the final third instead of sitting high. That protects a little bit that left-sided space. And Ryan Jack, as we know, has that relationship with James Tavernier where he can cover in and allow Tavernier to attack that back post. So Rangers also have excellent recovery pace. If you look at the West Ham game, and Ali spoke about this, I think they're quite passive, showing play outside. But, the first goal, it's their left winger that's effectively getting done by the attacker at the back post to score. Barcelona, I think that's a very different game, because Barcelona, I'm sure they give consideration to the opponent, but when you're Barcelona, I'm sure it is more about trying to assert yourself, especially when you're playing at home in the Nou Camp. Yeah. So I guess only at full time we really know how much we can read into those games. I think they commit so many bodies forward in these situations, Frankfurt. But what I do just think, because Rangers have done some unconventional things in terms of playing over the midfield, not allowing the opposition to press as they didn't allow Leipzig to at home, that could be really useful, and playing with a man-orientated system, because I don't think teams are used to that, and certainly that unpredictability factor could be really important. So I don't think you can sit back. I thought you got to strike the balance, as Van Bronckhorst says, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if Rangers come out and go for it in the first 20 minutes. That's kind of what I think they'll do.
I think the players believe in Van Bronckhorst, and they believe in themselves. And I think that's a huge part of it. Listen, I've got to jump in here. It is £6 for 6 months at the moment. It's been switching back and forth, and to be honest, I've been working like round the clock like the boys at the moment. So my ability to translate facts into words is difficult at the moment. And to further illustrate that, I haven't even talked about our sponsor. So let's get stuck in to a quick word on the OneFootball app. Now, you can download the app for free. The link is in the description. This is a one-stop shop for all your football needs. It doesn't have to be just Rangers. You can use it for Rangers. It gives you live scores. When goals go in, you'll get a notification. You can basically follow what's happening in the game through the live ticker, like a sort of live blog. It gives you lineups for the game, all the details you need to know whenever Rangers are playing. But more than that, you're also getting all the news stories from various outlets that are taking place around the club. So if you want to know anything about what's happening, it's a one place that you can go and you can get all that detail. More than that, it's not just Rangers. If you've got another club, for example, if you're a Chelsea fan, if you're a Manchester United fan, if you're an AC Milan fan or a Real Madrid fan, all those clubs are covered. In fact, every club is covered in Europe, and you can do the same with them. So it really is a terrific app. So we urge you to go into that description and download it ASAP. Right, we can move on now. Josh was looking as if he was seeing something outside of the frame, but we will carry on.
That's a helicopter just flew overhead, Johnny.
Very exciting.
Okay. So listen, Derek, you've been our roving reporter in Seville. I mean, it's probably been quite cruel to you in a sense that you've probably spent a fortune on the old Factor 50 to keep yourself safe, because you've been out and about every day going around the city. You must have seen quite a bit of it. Tell us what you're going to do today. You're going to be in the fan zone. You're going to be out and about, and then obviously going to the game. But what is the sort of plan?
Yeah, I'm hoping to head back out into the centre of the city, Johnny, and speak to a few fans ahead of the game. Bumped into some old school friends who accosted Joshua yesterday. You've seen it on our social media pages. They were great cracks.
Great guys.
Big fans of the show as well. So great to speak to them. Spoke to some Frankfurt fans yesterday as well. They seem confident that they're going to get the job done. Actually, after speaking to the boy, he came over with a handkerchief saying, "I'll need this at full time tonight." But maybe for tears of joy, that I'll need it. But yeah, looking to speak to a whole load of supporters heading towards the centre of Seville this afternoon, just to get a bit of a flavour of how fans are feeling, really. So if you see me out and about, then come over and have a little chat. Maybe head over to the fan zone as well. I thought the fan zone was terrific, Johnny, yesterday. We're both there. I've done a little walk around, and there's so much to do there. I think it'll be a bit more busy today, with more fans, of course, turning up. But there's so much different things to do.
Plenty of bars as well.
Loads of bars. Yeah, it's
heady tennis.
There's heady tennis.
Yeah.
There's a big sort of pitch, inflatable pitch that you can play football in, and it's lovely surroundings as well. It's in a sort of huge park, and there's a fantastic building overlooking the fan zone with a moat round about it. You can hire a rowing boat if you fancy to take your mind off the game. So there's so much to do. It's well organised. So I may head over there as well. So yeah, looking to get a bit of a flavour of how fans are feeling ahead of the big one.
Yeah, Derek, you were in Manchester. I mean, it does seem to be a much, much better organised scenario, doesn't it? They really are much more aware of what's coming.
Yeah, absolutely, Johnny. I remember Manchester going down into Piccadilly Square. I think it was about 8:30 in the morning, and it was like sardines in there so early on, and you couldn't move. And they had one big screen, and that was pretty much it. Of course, it doesn't work before kickoff, so you can see why there was a bit of unrest after that. But there was, from memory, I don't think there was anything really for the fans to do. They were totally unprepared for it, but Seville, it looks like they've been so welcoming. The locals have been welcoming. The fan park itself is, like I say, it's in a big park, so it's away from sort of the hustle and bustle. But there's another square as well, I've been informed, so I'm going to try and head over there as well. So everything's a bit spread out.
If you speak to any Seville natives, Derek, I think it'd be interesting to just kind of, even if it's not like on video, just to try and get the sense of how this must be enormous for the economy of the city. I mean, 150,000 people coming in. I mean, to put it into context, I mean, I don't know the figures of Glasgow, but I know Edinburgh's got 500,000 people in the city conurbation. So, I mean, you know, it would be like adding another third of people in Edinburgh to Edinburgh. So, I mean, Seville, I think, is a bigger city than that, but it just goes to show the context of how many people have arrived.
Yeah, it's magnificent, isn't it? And I remember when I was in Braga, I think that the mayor came out and said that they helped the economy tenfold when the Rangers supporters went there. And you've got to remember it's the Rangers fans and the Frankfurt fans heading over here as well. Huge numbers. I think so far, I think the Rangers fans outnumber them, I would say, about 4-1. But yeah, spending a large amount of money, mostly on beer and what have you, and food. So yeah, it's been great. The economy here will be thanking them for years to come for heading out here. But yeah, it's magnificent. The atmosphere is really good, Johnny. Bumped into, like I say, I spoke to a few Frankfurt fans yesterday. A couple of them passed their table last night as well. And it's all good-natured, good humour. I think both sets of fans are just delighted to be here. It's not often that clubs of this historical nature reach the final of European competition, especially Rangers. But Frankfurt are they're strangers to this type of final as well. So both fans in buoyant mood. Hopefully, I'll speak to a few this afternoon as well ahead of the game and heading up to the game as well. It should be good.
Got some love from a Tottenham fan here. Leslie Crawford saying, good luck tonight from Tottenham fan. Looking forward to the July friendly. People are very happy with that in the comments. Derek, you're getting a lot of love as well, and you deserve it for your walkabouts. I don't know how you do it, mate. It's an incredible skill to be able to talk for half an hour while you're wandering around the 35-degree heat and still sound cogent. Don't think I would be able to do that. So,
and Johnny, and retain his broadcast voice when he sees the little
his
cat.
broadcast
That's most
voice.
impressive bit. It was brilliant.
And tell you, if you're heading to the Estadio La Cartuja tonight, just be mindful of there's a family of cats just seeking shade in the bills of the stadium. They've got they've got a bed there, they've got water and food, so just show them some love if you're heading down that way.
The problem is they've probably got rabies or something like that, and you're probably going to...
Listen to this, Johnny. See, I think it was Tuesday night. What's today? Monday night, we seen a guy. We walked past a bar. There was a guy with a sort of jacket on with a hood on the back. He had a rat in his hood, just jumping about in his hood. But it was like a pet rat he had. It was, you see some sights over here, I can tell you.
Yeah, well, James Strachan here. Love Derek's walkabout. Next, he'll be able to walk about in the outback of Australia. Maybe we can move on to different kind of content here. Derek visits. You can become sort of like a travelogue, Derek.
Johnny, this trip is just going to ensure that Derek has a future in Australian TV and I become the Seville correspondent. You know, this is just setting us up for 10 years down the line, isn't it?
All I'm thinking about is the In-Betweeners movie. If I head over to the outback, Johnny, I don't think it would be very pleasant if I went over there.
There's a movie reference that Joshua gets finally after being good one. That's one that's young enough for him. Scott Hammond, enjoyed all your tours and build-ups. Fantastic. Scott, our mission while we're here, while those two are there, is to bring you a sense of what it's like to be there. We will be doing plenty more of that today. Derek will have more lives. And maybe even Joshua, maybe even rope Joshua in the tactics master.
I'll be doing that. I'll be doing a lot. Well, yesterday I was cramped over my laptop. Yeah, in the stadium. So I'll be joining Derek.
Joshua did a 1 minute live from the stadium.
Yeah. We did a brief one last night with the training, but I don't know if we were actually allowed, so I kept it quite.
Yeah, I thought that was maybe a bit
sweet. But no, absolutely. We'll be up at the Van Zone, speaking to some supporters, kind of soaking it all up. Because how many days do you have when you're building up to a European final? Not many. So I don't think there's any time to waste today.
I think the key thing from your video skills, Josh, is you need to capture what everyone wants to see, which is Ali Bean v Derek Clark heady tennis.
I've been trying to set this up for 2 days, and this is my theory now. So Derek says to me, we're at a similar level, and I think, okay, fair enough. But ever since I've speculated that this game could happen, Derek's confidence in his ability seems to have dissipated somewhat.
Listen, when you're in soaring heat, Jody, I'm a shadow of my true self. So my skills.
Even if it's Ali Bean versus Joshua, or I don't know, Adam Thornton against Joshua.
Make it happen. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that.
I take that on Adam Thornton. That'd be
live build up.
No problem at all.
I'd
be up for a little game of 5-a-sides, a little pickup game before up in the fan zone. So if anyone's about, maybe get that organised.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
okay.
plan.
Well, that sounds good. James Strachan says Crocodile Derek. We've got a name. We've got a name for the show.
That sounds like
I don't
a
know who's
terrible
paying to
movie, I
send you
tell
to
you.
Australia. But, yeah, I mean, maybe the thing is, if the Australia friendly had gone ahead, maybe we could have avoided the football completely and sent you off to do this, given nobody was really interested in that. So
Yeah, imagine,
that
just
would
imagine.
that would have been cool.
Yeah.
So listen, guys, we're messing about a lot of the time. It's been quite jocular. We know that we've been on air for a long time this week, so we've talked about a lot of stuff already. But here's the thing: it's match day. It's time to talk Turkey in terms of teams. Now, you boys on the website have got your predicted lineups. I've got them too. You two have picked exactly the same sides. You've picked the same team, I think, that was in Leipzig. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Against Leipzig. I have gone for Aaron Ramsey over Scott Wright. Now, let me tell you why, guys. I want to know your opinions on this in the comments. I think if you go and get Aaron Ramsey and he's fit and he's motivated and you don't play him, that's odd. Aaron Ramsey's never played in a European final. He is the best player in the squad on paper. And I think after having played those two games in the last two league games, he'll be in good shape. Now, Scott Wright is a great ball carrier. He's got that one terrific attribute. But Aaron Ramsey all round is top quality. Okay, you might only get 60 minutes out of him, but then you've got Scott Wright then coming on fresh, running at a tired team. And I just think having Ramsey there, given his achievements for Wales, where he's the main man apart from him, well, him and Gareth Bale together are the main two men, and they have to take it on their shoulders. He's used to that. He's used to that level of expectation, that burden and carrying it for the team. I'm putting Ramsey there every day of the week. I just think I'm always backing class over potential. And Scott Wright to me is potential, and Aaron Ramsey is the real deal. Now, Gio obviously have a decision to make on that. You two disagree with me, so bulldoze my argument, Josh.
It's not necessarily that I mean, I agree with the most of your points. I think on the first point, would you probably rather have? I guess it depends on how Van Bronckhorst is going to go for the game. Does he want Ramsey to come on and attack the spaces? You're speaking about Scott Wright attacking because Ramsey's end product is a lot better. Does, for example, the second goal against Leipzig happen if Ramsey's on the pitch again instead of Scott Wright? Does Ramsey win that ball back? Again, to use the example of the 2-1 Old Firm defeat in the league, when it's not Ramsey's fault that was it the Tom Rogic goal, but him allowing Callum McGregor through, does that happen if it's a more physical player? I don't know. So I think it depends on whether Van Bronckhorst is going for an approach where he wants to start fast and he wants the game to then open up. He'll have a game plan, as we were reading from Balogun just a little bit earlier. My fear with starting him, Johnny, is that like in the, you'll remember the 2-1 Old Firm game at Hampden, very end-to-end, very quick. And Ramsey's injured, but I think he was also quite tired by that point. I think he'd done so much work off the ball, so many sprints. And later in the game, if you look at when Rangers eventually scored their goal, or when they're in and around the Celtic half more, maybe would have been an opportunity for him to actually get on the ball. You look, for example, at the penalty he created for Sakala. He kind of knits together the whole move. But that's when Rangers are in control of the game. So the thing with Scott Wright is off the ball, he's going to give you good pressure, but also you're right, he's a ball carrier, he's quick. Ramsey, do you risk, it's the same argument with Roof. Do you risk the fact that you're taking them both off on 60 minutes with the game at 0-0 and you're bringing on Scott Wright and whoever, and then there's not perhaps someone to put the ball in the back of the net? So that's why I think play a little bit of the long game. But it's hard because I don't know if there's a right decision, because you're right. Can you imagine speaking in January, as we've said before, about Scott Wright playing in a European final against instead of Aaron Ramsey? It underlines how important I think physicality is in football now. Yeah,
Derek, I'm going to bring you in on this. Scott Marshall saying, what about Diallo as a wild card instead of Ramsey or Wright? So just address the general position, right side of that attack.
Listen, it's a bit left field, but again, Yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
I would be surprised if Ahmad get the nod over on that side. That being said, he has done pretty well in the games leading up to this one. I know there's been talk now of perhaps bringing him back for another loan spell next season, and I'm delighted for him because I think he was sort of hung out to dry a little bit after the game at Tannadice. Never really get a look in after that, but he has worked his way back into the team, and it looks like from his sort of social media posts that he loves being at Rangers. So a happy player is always good. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take part at some point in the game, but I just don't think he's going to start against Frankfurt. I think Giovanni van Bronckhorst will go. Well, they tried and tested.
He's not played in the Europa League at all, so there's no chance that he plays. Obviously, the option to bring him off the bench, I think it would more likely be someone like Alex Lowry if you need a bit of a wild card, just based on what Van Bronckhorst has favoured to this point. I think the conversation about bringing him back is one for another day, but that would be a real left field decision based on the fact he's not played at all.
I can see him starting at Hampden, put it that way, but not tonight.
Yeah, Hampden can wait. Let's not just even look at that at the moment. In terms of us, guys, we'll obviously be coming back with you tonight. We've got various videos coming throughout the day. As Derek has already talked about, we'll have lives from the fan zones. Hopefully we'll be able to have Derek coming to you with a pre-match Q&A, looking at the teams as they drop. And we'll also do a half-time Twitter teams. Teams. What am I talking about? Spaces.
Teams.
A half-time Twitter spaces. So we'll bring you half-time coverage on Twitter. So if you don't follow us, it's at Rangers Review 55.
Hopefully as well, Johnny. Stevie Clifford, of course, contributor to the site. He's making his way over. He should be arriving at some point this afternoon. So hopefully get him on a video as well, and we'll get his insight into the thing.
Yeah, he'll be on the spaces in a video as well. So cracking, guys. Let's call it a day there. We've been on for 42 minutes now, and what a day. I mean, there's so much to do. You guys are going to have to go and get some breakfast, get yourself properly hydrated, get some food in yourself. Is there a nice wee cafe nearby this?
We're spoiled for choice, Johnny. Not to rub it in or anything like that, but it's there's an array of lovely little eateries. We're in the sort of local part of Seville as well. It's, so you're eating with the locals. Everything's in Spanish as well, so you need to get the old Google Translate up on your phone. But it's absolutely sensational. So we'll head out and get something to eat before making our way into the city centre.
What's a traditional Spanish breakfast? I am not a big Spain guy. I've been to Barcelona. Now, people would say that's a completely different argument. But in terms of the food, what's a typical Spanish breakfast? We know. I'm an Italiophile, so I'm used to going there and getting stuck into different things. If you go to France, obviously you're getting croissants. What are you eating there? What are they eating?
Well, funny you should say that. Yesterday I went to a little cafe bar place, and they just had a sign saying breakfast, and I just pointed to that and said breakfast, and all it was grilled sausages, fried eggs, a grilled tomato, and a bit of bacon as well. So pretty much the same as back home. A full English, Johnny.
They have like a lot of the wee cafes. It's like €3, and I've had this a couple of times. You get like Parma ham and toast and orange juice and coffee for like €3. So I think that's what most places have. Very nice. So I've already had that this morning. So
I've not had breakfast. I'm salivating.
Yeah. A little bit. I was up early, because the cafe just along the road, we're effectively locals now. They recognised us from the second day, and we must have been in about 4 times. So.
Johnny, it's so busy at night time. Of course, everyone in Spain gets up late and goes to bed late, but it's mobbed. The little cafe bar area just right next to our apartments, mobbed at night, midnight last night, and previous 2 nights, absolutely ram-packed with folk. It's a different way of life over here, and Josh is certainly much getting himself embraced into it.
And you've enjoyed the apartment. I mean, it's been a big plus, isn't it, having that outside broadcasting zone?
So much so, yeah. I've been getting texts from friends that are heading over asking if we've got any space. I said we've got a couple of sun loungers here, but there's people here that have not got any accommodation for tonight. They're either sleeping in their hire car or just staying awake until their flight home. A lot of flights in the early hours of Thursday morning, but this place has been absolutely ideal. It really has, and the rooftop terrace is an added bonus. So, it's been great.
Okay, great. And of course, we will hopefully be celebrating a Rangers win tonight. And then, Josh, you're heading back to Madrid for the evening tomorrow.
Yeah, I think about 4 o'clock. So, I mean, if Rangers win, I can't imagine anyone will really sleep. So, yeah, heading back to Madrid and then back to Glasgow on Friday night and then straight to Hampden on Saturday. But yeah, hopefully it's. I mean, the game starts at 9 o'clock here, obviously. So, I imagine it'll be a very late one. But nobody cares when you're in a European final, do they?
Should we do a live video tomorrow from the Bernabeu?
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of kind of going up to see it. I'll be too late for a tour by the time I get up there, but kind of just to see the outside.
Perhaps what we should do, if Rangers win, because that flag obviously needs to go somewhere, perhaps we could hang it over the Bernabeu.
Graham Souness style.
Graham Souness style.
Whack it.
and really set the ball rolling for a real big rivalry come Helsinki.
Super Cup. If only. No, I mean, it's just going to be such a good game, isn't it? What
Josh is now realising that he is going to have to go to the Bernabeu.
Yeah, I know.
Great idea.
I just wanted a night off to have some sangrias and tapas.
I was looking forward to having some tapas and a glass of wine.
No, I'll maybe just my phone will maybe just lose signal coincidentally.
Sorry, buddy. Derek, you're heading back to Faro?
No, I'm heading to Malaga, Johnny. Which I've seen some videos last night. Loads of Rangers fans in Malaga. I was there about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's packed out of Rangers fans in there. It's about a 2-hour, 45-minute bus journey. Tomorrow afternoon we head back and then flying out from Malaga to Brussels, then Brussels to Manchester. Get back late Friday night. So but I love hearing stories of how fans get here by hook or by crook. A lot of them heading via the likes of Dubai, Ibiza, Mallorca, as Joshua went by, and like proper holiday destinations to get themselves back here. There was another couple of that travelled from Tenerife. There was another one from Gran Canaria. So going to the Canaries and then heading back, it's crazy, isn't it? But heading back to Malaga tomorrow. Hopefully, a coach full of Rangers fans doing likewise and in buoyant mood. Let's hope.
Yes, absolutely. Again, that'll be a live video. Thank you. I want to get my pound of flesh out of you boys. That's for sure. And don't worry, we'll make up for it after the Scottish Cup final when I'm taking you out for a few beers in sunny Glasgow. Hopefully sunny. We'll see on that one. Doesn't really matter as long as we get beer and food, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, gentlemen, I'm going to let you go. You Todd, and get to whatever you're going and have a great day. Hopefully, I'll talk to you later on. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Obviously, if you want to come and support the website, please do. We've got an unbelievable offer at the moment. It's £6. You pay that up front, and that gives you 6 months content. Yeah, can't get a pint for £6 in a lot of places in Glasgow nowadays if you're drinking the posh beer. So that really is a fantastic deal. Gives you access to everything we do on the website for £6. And also, obviously, helps support us do videos like this every day. Send the boys out to Seville and do everything we do. And listen, we're going to need a bit of money to send people to Helsinki. You know, it's as simple as that. It's required. So come on and support us there so we can do that. So thank you very much for watching. I hope next time we're sitting around the morning brief, we're talking about Rangers, champions of Europe. Let's see how it